friends, welcome to this lesson. So in this video I will be sharing with you how to add a background. So let's say you're painting a bird and sometimes you want to add the background. So when do you do that? Do you do that after you painted the bird, or you do that before you paint the bird? So here's the thing. A lot of times when I choose a painting that I want to hang in my living room or my studio or somewhere else, I actually tend to choose a bird, for example, a bird with the background versus the one with no background. For some reason, I just prefer that background to look at it when it's hanging on the wall. Now, whether you add the background or not, that's totally your decision. But here's the thing, how do we do it? What is the process? Do we add the background before we add the bird or paint the bird, or after we painted the bird? In this specific video, which is a class also available on Patreon, I painted the background first, but a lot of times I will paint the bird first. It depends from the color values. It depends how light or how dark the bird is and how I envision it. Whether I paint the background first, like in this video, I will wet the background first. I will probably not wet the tree, and then I won't wet the bird entirely. Sometimes I will wet parts of the bird too. Why is that? Because I don't mind if the paint from the background will bleed a little bit toward the bird. This is also to create a soft transition between the bird and the background. It doesn't mean that I want a lot of the paint to bleed from the background. It's just so I have soft feathers. Now, this technique, to also like when I paint the bird, let's say first, and then I'll add the background. So a lot of times, in that example, I will wet everything, but only paint the bird, and then I'll wet the background. After the bird dried, I'll wet the background, and then just add the background. I will also wet parts of the bird, if that makes sense. Now let's jump into this quick video here. I'm going to show you how to add the background when you are doing that first before you paint the bird. If you would like to see the full class, how I paint the bird too, please join me on Patreon. I have a full class and you can find tons of other birds. I have hundreds of classes on Patreon tutorials. So I have here a cobalt turquoise light, cobalt blue. I have, let's see, what do I have? I have imidazolone yellow, burnt sienna. Maybe I'll use some Van Dyke brown, quin red, and rust sienna or yellow ochre. So we're gonna start by wetting the background. I am gonna stay away from the bird. And once I paint the bird, I can decide if I want some of the softer feathers like the going over the background, and I can wet the background in that case. All right, so let's start with the lightest colors first. So the lightest colors would be like yellows. So this is my imidazolone yellow. I'm gonna go for like a water to milk like ratio because I don't need that much control. I'm just painting the background. So there you go. And then here, this is where I'm shaping my bird because I'm on the outside and I didn't wet here the inside, or I didn't wet these outlines of my sketch, right? So the paint is not going on the inside here of the bird. So here I get closer. I'm getting closer towards the belly part. I can go through a little bit, but not too much. I don't need to paint too much. I'm gonna wait for the moment to add the orange for the feathers. But here, this is the background, right? So you can create like lines and shapes. Blue, you create a shade of green, so we gotta be careful with that. That's why we're mixing colors on the paper, not palette. So this is my cobalt turquoise blue, and then some of the cobalt blue. And so let's see, this is kind of like bluish. This is bluish. I have less background than in the reference, and that's okay because that's how I chose it. I chose it that way based on my sketch. And then there's my quinacridone red, just to change the shade of it, so it's kind of more blue violet. So something like this. So as long as I have some parts that are much lighter, and I don't mind going here a little closer because I do see like those shades of blue right kind of above the head. Oops, this was probably not the best part because I just had some of this undiluted quin red, so I need to quickly kind of dilute it with that somewhat damp brush. And then back to this. You know what? This does feel like It needs more of that quinacridone red overall. I do like how light it is. Again, I don't want to do too much with the background because I'm trying to keep it light and balanced, because the bird is like the main focus of my painting. I'm gonna clean this brush quickly. Another thing I want to do is grab my round 8 golden one, and this time grab like a cream top like ratio. So this is my quin red, there's my quin red, and there is my cobalt blue, but more. And then let's say this cobalt turquoise, which I almost don't have. And because we have these beautiful shades in the background too, like branches, I guess, I want that as well, like in my painting. So something like this maybe. If it's too distracting for you, don't like it, you don't have to do it. So I grabbed a little more of the blue. It looks like those are branches or something. So you know what? I'm gonna grab some of this burnt sienna, but I don't have cream top like ratio, and I need cream top. So I just squeezed fresh burnt sienna just to have that burnt sienna on my brush, just so it feels like a cream top, so it doesn't spread. And I'm gonna kind of slightly go next to these lines, and just a little bit. I don't know if I like it better now than before, but you know what? You can decide how you feel about something like this. Because I kind of liked how it was kind of lighter in a way, but you know, then I'm drawn to this reference that has all these beautiful shades of blue too, so it's kind of hard to decide. But what I could do is grab a little bit more of that cobalt turquoise, cobalt blue, and maybe like add a little bit of that here. Something like that, so it feels more like the reference. The colors, the shades. There you go. So maybe something like this. So thank you so much for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions. When I see that the highlight has some color in it, and in this case it's like a blue violet, so follow blue with some quin red, that's when I know, okay, this is going to have that undertone layer, and so when you look at the highlight, this part is kind of really like white almost, and then you have the blue.